He had MPhil and PhD from Northeastern Hill University, Shillong, and completed his PhD in record time of 4 months only. He received the DLit degree from Utkal University in the year 2006. He has to his credit 11 books and a number of research publications in Indian philosophy, ethics, religion. The published books are Knowable and the Sayable, The Upanishad Rediscovered, Philosophy of Value, Call of Masiha, Dharma, Concept, Issues of Indian Philosophy, Karma, Guru Tattva, Comparative Religion, Cycle of Creation, Philosophy, Why, What, How, Yoga Concept, Practices, and Bhakti Concept and Cult. Dr. Mohanty represented Hinduism from India in the international seminar on inter-religion dialogue at Poland. Besides academic pursuit, he has the consuming passion to serve the poor, downtrodden, and was recipient of the Jana Seva Shield in the year 1983 for extensive relief work among the flood-stricken people. Dr. Mohanty has received a series of awards such as Excellency Award in the field of social action, Gold Medal for Social Service, Rotary Award for working for the unprivileged, Pratibha Award and Indradivna Award in Social Work, Samaj Ratna Award, Saraswata Samman, and RM Memorial Service Award, etc., and many more awards. He is the founder chairman of Rawa Academy, which runs a network of children homes across the state of Odisha devoted to the rehabilitation of deserted, unclaimed, parentless, destitute children. Presently, he is a member of a global advisory committee of Renaissance on Universal and engaged in research and application of microvita. Dr. Mohanty is a life member of Barbati Lodge, Patak, under Utkal Theosophical Federation. With these words, I invite Dr. Mohanty to deliver his speech on the subject Instinct, Intellect, and Intuition. Over to Dr. Mohanty.
Namaskar to all of you. At the outset, I would sincerely, very sincerely, tender my apology for joining late, but it is so unfortunate that I've been trying for last 45 minutes, but despite putting the passcode, it does not come, and it was saying wrong passcode, some technical error, handicaps, for which I could not join you on time. Now, friends, I feel privileged and honored to be part of this Theosophical fraternity. And as I already said, I am part of the Barbati Laws, a life member of Barbati Laws, Cuttack. And I've been associated with the Theosophical movement since 1974. So that has given me an opportunity for an exposure to what Theosophy stands for, what ideas and ideals they vouchsafe. Now, friends, today they have been asked to talk on instinct, intellect, and intuition. I'll try to be as synoptic as possible because we are already behind the schedule. Now, this universe of ours,
Sir, you muted.
Universe of ours is the self-expression of the cosmic entity, which is of the nature of truth, consciousness, and bliss. It is the one which has become many by or on account of his self-will to become many. This view is shared by different other cosmologies, where the phenomenal world or the world that we encounter, the world of diversities, are said to be the result of will of the cosmic to create it. Now, in an Indian perspective, the will on the part of the cosmic to become many has resulted in the world of diversities. It is not that one has made the many by remaining outside it, but it is the one which has become many and which remains immanent or embedded in every particular, be it an atom or a self-conscious, a intuitively developed human being. Now, having created it, the whole universe is being drawn to its bosom from the place where it had its origin. So the whole act of cosmic creation is nothing but creating the many out of one, again reobserving the many into the one. So this is a passage or a journey from one to many, again many to one. We human species on this planet, who claim to be most evolved creature so far on this planet, because there has been very strong view that there are more developed beings on other planets across the universe. So on this planet, though man is the most evolved creature, fact remains that the non-humans, the flora and fauna, even the inanimate objects, do partake of the cosmic essence. What is that cosmic essence? What is it made of? It is of the nature of pure consciousness. So since everything has come out of that pure consciousness and it is an expression, self-expression of the cosmic consciousness, so everything is potentially or actually conscious. The difference between the so-called inanimate and the human being is this, that in the so-called inanimate objects, the consciousness is dormant, and so dormant that we don't see, don't perceive. In plants, it is perceived in form of growth and propagation of species, plant species. In animals, there is a still more expression, that is movement, gamana. And in human beings, in form of self-consciousness. The difference between human beings and other living beings is this, that other living beings, the non-human beings, are conscious, but human beings are self-conscious. That makes all the difference. That has made all the difference in our journey to the ultimate destination, our cherished goal. Man is self-conscious. That means man not only does something, thinks something, but can subject it to analysis, whether it is right or wrong. What is the direction? What is the end? What is the means? What is the way? What is right and what is wrong? So man is privileged to have this capacity because of intellect. Intellect is nothing but the capacity for discrimination, the capacity for thinking, the capacity for cogitation, the capacity to probe into the pros and cons of things, the capacity to unravel or unearth the secrets of nature. That is what intellect is all about. And man, on account of possessing a developed mind, man is not the creature who has mind. Even the plants have minds. That is why they respond to music. By music, you can stimulate the growth of the plants. So the plants are sensitive to human sentiments. We'll discuss later, a couple of minutes later. So mind is there in the plants, no doubt about it. But the question is, the $1,000,000 question is, does the atom have a mind? Now, if it is conscious, potential conscious, it of course has a mind, but so dormant that we don't perceive it. You know, the universal prayer of in Theosophical Society, that contains or captures the essence of the time-old wisdom. Oh, hidden life, vibrant in every atom. What does it mean? Appears to be a prima facie absurd. How can an atom have life? Oh, hidden life, vibrant in every atom. If it is life, of course there is consciousness. Oh, hidden light shining in every creature. That means the life that throbs in a human being also throbs in an atom. We don't perceive it because our mind is not so very tuned. Since our mind is not properly tuned, we have not gone to that height in the rungs of the ladder of evolution, or consciousness is not awakened enough to understand the suffering of a plant or an animal. Far less that which palpitates in an atom. So the whole universe is potential conscious for the simple reason that the whole universe is an expression of pure consciousness, Brahman, whatever name you give it. Then the fundamental sense, the fundamental substance or the primordial substance is of the nature of consciousness. Everything which is an expression of it, expression of it is bound to be potentially or actually conscious. The difference between the matter and mind is one of, not one of kind, but of degree. That's it. That's the truth. And we take lives of journey, lives after lives, to understand it and to live accordingly. Given this canvas, given this conceptual canvas, let's try to understand where do we locate instincts? Friends, we talk of instincts, not only in case of animals, but also in case of human beings. It is said that in respect of instincts, human beings have a commonality with animals. The instinct of hunger, the instinct to take rest at regular intervals, sleep. Hunger, sleep, sex and fear, sense of insecurity, sense to be united with the opposite sex, opposite gender. These are instinctive drives which have their origin in the human physicality. The human physicality, on account of having a physical body like animals, we feel hungry. The body needs to feed. We feel thirsty. We feel hungry. We feel sleepy. So these are the instincts which have their genesis or origin or their anchorage or their grounding in human physicality, in the physicality. This is called Sahajata Prabhuti, instinct, instinctive desires. What about plants? Also they have instincts. What is that instinct? Instinct for survival, which is again they are present in animals as well, human beings along the scale of evolution. Human beings have, if there is any strongest instinct for human beings, it is the instinct for survival. Animals too. If you hold a piece of bread in one hand and a stick in another, a dog will not venture to you because it is afraid of being bitten. You decoy it by, you tempt it. You hold up the temptation of giving him food. But on the other hand, you have the stick in hand. So the fear of being bitten by a stick prevents the dog from coming near you. There have been several experiments. There have been several experiments on plants. Plant physiologists have experiments. If you burn, there have been several experiments so that a plant doesn't want to die. It loves to be, it has instinct to grow to fullness. If you burn fire continuously, you burn fire continuously on one side, you'll find the branches of the tree ramify the other in the reverse direction. That means it doesn't want to get burned. The famous experiment of the cactus, a person saying the experimenter giving suggestions of love made the cactus lose its thorns. Because thorn is a life-saving device given by nature to cactus. So they have also the instinct to survive is also so strong in plants. The recent experiments on plants tells us that plants also communicate under the ground. And there is a strong instinct of sociality which is present in animals in form of gregarious instinct. The instinct to live together, which human beings have so explicitly have, gregarious instinct. The birds like to fly together in a flock. The elephants love to go together in a flock, in a batch of elephants. Humans love for sociality is also found in some plants who grow better when they're together, when they're planted together. Sociality of plant. Is it not a testimony to the fact they also have mind, though not as pronounced, as explicit, as articulate as human beings? Human beings, on account of being more evolved, possess it so explicitly. So there is only degree of variation, degrees of variation of degree, not of kind. And going still below to the so-called inanimate world, which is said to be unconscious. We have to remember that the consciousness in them is so dormant that we don't find any expression. The expression is not explicit. The expression light has gone off for just for a while. Now the expression is so dormant, so dim, that we feel that they are unconscious, whereas we are conscious. But consciousness is present all along the scale of evolution, right from atom to human species, who claim to be most evolved beings on this planet. Now, friends, when we go higher and higher by the process of by being subjected to natural dynamics, then you find that there is the mind which is less expressed in animals, becomes more pronounced and explicit in human beings. We find it in form of a capacity to reason. Intellect is nothing but the capacity to reason. Man is a rational, he said, man is a rational animal. Apart from having the instinctive drives which propel us to do certain things, it is the reason which helps us to understand what is right and what is wrong, what is the end and what is the means. This is a special expression. Rationality is said to be a differential or a distinguishing mark in human species, on account of which man has evolved, man has bypassed, man has outrun the animals and birds in the process of in the evolutionary journey. Man brought out science, technology, religion, theosophy, philosophy. It is because of the unique endowment that is intellect. That is intellect. It has made all the difference to human journey across or down the time. One fine morning, who were the neighbors of man? Our ancestors, animals, birds, who were living in the forest, is wandering in the forest in quest of food and shelter. The same human species is now exploring the outer space. How could it be possible? Much water has flown down the river Ganges when man has exercised his intellect to expedite the journey. Friends, the difference, everyone is evolving. That which is an atom today, maybe after millions of years will grow into a species, living species. Everyone is subject to the process of evolution. But on account of having intellect, man understands the dynamics of evolution. And if he wants, he can quicken his journey. So intellect gives us the ability or capacity to accelerate or to move with a greater pace to the destined goal. So that is an added capacity, on account of which intellect is the ability by which we can reason, we can think, we can reflect, we can concentrate, we can ponder, we can ask questions, try to find answers. And this has helped man to go a long way, and in an expeditious way, in a faster way, in a quickened way to the cherished goal. So ours is a conscious journey. Whereas the journey of the animals, birds, the atoms, they are subject to the forces of nature. They are also moving towards the nucleus. But having been endowed with a higher mind, we have the capacity to reason. Reason, what is the reason? Reason is the capacity by which you discriminate between end and means. This is my goal. What is my means? Am I going in the right way? And when the rationality is awakened, we distinguish between what is right and wrong. We not only know that this means takes into that destination, and this is the way leading to that destination, but you distinguish between right and wrong. The moral sense also is bound up with reason. So the capacity to reason and the capacity to distinguish between right and wrong helps man either to choose the path of evil or good. Friends, choice is always a two-way traffic. The same intellect which can take man higher and higher, make man nobler and nobler, can also degenerate a man to a, so that they behave in animal ways, they embrace animalistic ways. That is why, friends, when man uses his intellect or abuses his intellect or misuses his intellect, he becomes worse than a beast. What beasts do in a natural way, man does in an intelligent way. That is why when man takes to the animal ways, he becomes more ferocious, more harmful than animals. Because animals fight with natural tools. But man, when man decides to do harm, there is a backing of intelligence. There are no rapes in the animal world. There is no greed in the animal world. They live in consonance with nature. They cannot go against nature. And because of having this intellect, we can go against nature and invite a crisis like corona, or incompatible with the state of, could be if it is natural phenomenon. If it is man-made, if the corona is triggered or created in the laboratory somewhere in distant parts of the world, then that also speaks eloquently about the degenerate human psyche, that man is misusing his intellect to do harm to the entire humanity. A chemical warfare. A warfare by using corona as a virus, which kills whole cell, which holds the fate of the world at ransom. If it is man-made, then also it testifies that human intellect is being abused. If it is a natural disease in the state of nature, it also tells you have not understood your relationship with nature. You have tried to live at the cost of nature. You have destroyed nature. You have destroyed nature. You have lived at the cost of nature. You exploited nature. You have raped nature. You have denuded the forest. You have polluted the water. You have polluted the air in the name of urbanization. Everything for the interest of man, forgetting that man can live only when others live, because human existence is more dependent on the flora and fauna than their others. We live in a holistic world where everything is connected to every other thing. There have been experiments to confirm that it's called butterfly effect. If a butterfly flaps its wings in a remote garden in Delhi, it has its repercussion in the other parts of the country or the world. There is a synchronic communication among the whales that have been experimented, whales in the Pacific and the whales in the Antarctic. What a wonderful world. And the world, the cosmos, is like a wonderful melody, an orchestra, where each tune, however small it may be, contributes to the total effect of the orchestra, cosmic orchestra. It is a cosmic orchestra where everything things are supportive. A peacock lives on snake. A snake lives on a frog. A frog lives on insect. How does the insect live in? We eat fish. How do the fish live? Because the food of the fish is available in water. Trees do not move. They need water for nourishment. So water is available under earth. This is the state of nature. How can you attribute it to chance or accident? You have to accept cosmic intelligence, which puts things on place. Just imagine how heavy the earth is. The earth consisting of all the mountains, all the rivers, all the trees, all the plants, all the earth, all the mines, all the buildings. It is moving in a space. It's not grounded anywhere. Our houses are grounded on earth. But what the earth is grounded upon? In space. Moves such a high velocity in exact orbit for millions and millions of years. What a wonderful. And the earth is a speck. Another recently there was a photograph when the spacecraft is leaving the solar system. It looked back and took a photograph. The earth could not be located. So tiny speck. Just imagine how big is the universe. And everything moves on time and it's perfect, with uncanny sense of time, mathematical precision. We live in that world. We forget that not only we, but also the nature, the plants, the animals, the rivers, the oceans, the microbes, the ant, the elephant, a mammoth, a tiny ant, everything is a part and parcel of nature. Not only that, they're all interconnected. A small plant on the ocean floor grows because of the refracted light of the moon in the sky. So 15 days it has growth in the bright fortnight, and dark one doesn't have growth, or poor growth, retarded growth. What a remote connection we have. What a remote connectivity we have. We forget it. We forget that everything is for us. That is a wrong use of intellect. Intellect, when is tempered by selfishness of man, it has caused harm, disharmony in the ecology. Man thought that I am the end, everything is for me, instead of exploiting, forgetting that we are for each other. We are for plants because we exude carbon dioxide, and plants is the intake of the plants. And what the plants exude, that is oxygen, is necessary for our survival. If the last plant on the earth is removed, humanity will die of suffocation in 6 hours. If the last plant on the plant is removed, then man will die of suffocation because of the dearth of oxygen in a few hours. If human beings die, it doesn't much dent upon the non-humans. Now the elephants who are afraid of human cruelty, because you have encroached into their habitat, they will have a peaceful life. Because man is the culprit, because he has been misused. He has misused his intellect for his own selfish interest, ignoring the interests of non-humans. What a predicament, what a plight, miserable plight we have because of misuse of intellect. So the human errors, omissions and commissions down the time should teach us, give us the wisdom, as the previous speaker was telling, that yes, it is not enough that we have intellect which empowers us. Intellect has empowered man with science and technology. It is because of the intellect man has discovered the laws of nature, controlled the laws of nature. Knowledge is power, tells Bacon. The more and more you understand nature, by application of an intellect and reasoning, rational perception, the more and more you are empowered so that you can use nature to your convenience. To what extent? If you try to exploit nature, use nature, don't abuse it or exploit it, then what will happen is man has to pay an exorbitant price for it. For his omissions and commissions, friends, our future generation, our sons, grandsons, and great-grandsons, the progeny and the posterity will pay a price for our mistakes. They'll accuse us of lack of proper awareness. They will accuse of misuse of intellect, like a monster, like a devil who uses his intelligence to do harm to others. And in the process, forgetting that in the process, become suicidal. Now, man, it's time that man should wake up. The intellect should wake up. The reason should wake up. Man has to awaken his reason to understand what is the direction, how I'm going to use intellect. Friends, here comes the role of intuition. Intuition is nothing but the faculty which gives a direction to human mind. Otherwise, human mind, like a double-edged sword, it can heal and kill. Like a double-edged sword, the same human intellect, which helps us to see each other and talk to each other. Other parts of the world can see me, I can talk to them, they can ask questions, I can try to answer them. We see and talk, and space and time is no barrier. Just imagine that if you could organize an international conference by inviting the people who are joining us, how much it would cost? With no cost, minimal cost. We see each other, talk to each other. The digital window, the digital advantage can help me to see and talk to anybody in any part of the world. A small telephone, a smartphone can help me to connect to anyone in any part of the world with no time. That is because of human, that is the height that man has scaled That without any wire we can connect, we can go to, even you can go to the outer space. If there is anything wrong in the spacecraft, from the ground stations, they can correct. What a wonderful achievement. At the same time, human beings have reasons to be ashamed of their failures, misuse of intellect, world wars, cold wars, genocide, remote control bombs, laser guided missiles. What a wonderful, what a mockery, not wonderful, what a mockery of human intellect, when even the Indians also glory in their capacity to kill and heal. If there is a missile which can go 5,000 kilometers away, in Korea and China, and India has joined also. If there is if test is successful, what is the test? Capacity to kill, extent of doing harm to the enemy. From here, I push a button, and in downtown of America, the civilization is destroyed. We glory in it. We take pride in the fact that we have joined the arsenal, the club, nuclear club. Of course, many people will argue that if others are doing it, we should make it. But there is no reason man should do it with reservation. Because we are glorifying in our capacity to destroy. This is antithetical to the spirit of ancient Indian wisdom, where the ideal is learn by sacrifice, living for the other. Not living at the cost of the other, but living for the other. Try to enjoy by sacrifice, by sharing with other, by caring for the other. This is what Indian ethics proclaims at the top of his voice. That the real enjoyment consists, but why? Because Ishavasya Vidam Sarvam, the same entity pervades everywhere. The controller, the supreme controller, call it whatever name you call, hardly matters when you understand the truth. Because it pervades even an atom, pervades everywhere. So in that, against this metaphysics, ontology, or worldview, what is ethics? Ethics of live and let live. We must love a plant as much as we love a neighbor, because plant has a survival value for us. We can live without, I can live without my neighbor, I can live without my ornaments, I can live without my wealth, but I cannot live without oxygen. I cannot live without oxygen. So friends, intellect, it is time that intellect, man has to pause for a while and see in which direction humanity is going, in which direction science and technology is going. Don't you feel that technology should have a human face? Technology must operate with values, sense of direction, otherwise it doesn't have a sense of direction. The nuclear power will be used for nuclear bombs, manufacture nuclear bombs. And if there is a direction, nuclear power can be used for constructive purposes in giving illumination or light to every remote village in distant parts of the globe. So, intellect stands in need of intuition. In Sanskrit, there are two words. One is buddhi, another is bodhi. Bodhi. Intellect stands for bodhi. Now, how does intellect as a faculty? How do you get ourselves graduated to be in possession of intuition? How can an intellectual being or an intellectual entity possess intuition? There comes the role of spiritual practice, which consists in expanding your human mind, expanding the human psyche. There are three things: Vistara, Rasa, Seva. One who is poised in spiritual wisdom or spiritual truth. One who has an inkling of the spiritual truth cannot but perceive that which is in me also in the other. Everyone is my kindred. Everyone is my kin. Everyone is my fellow man, irrespective of their state of evolution, their position in the evolutionary ladder. When you perceive it, the human intelligence, the unit mind, we call it Anumana. The unit mind gets attuned to the cosmic mind. We perceive that though, you see, this is how we graduate. We elevate ourselves. The intellect gets rejection. We perceive that though The differences are real, but they are apparent. The difference between me and a difference between a master and the servant, rich and poor, male and female, plant, animal, or a human being, there is an underlying affinity. There is an underlying affinity. There is an underlying affinity. There is a kind of unity beneath diversity, which has become a slogan. Now it doesn't mean anything for us because it has become a slogan, orchestrated slogan. The slogan we mouth hard, but we don't see eye to eye. A Hindu doesn't see eye to eye with a Muslim and vice versa. The world is now cut up in a divide, a Islamic, non-Islamic, Christian, non-Christian divide, on a religious divide, knowing pretty well that we are human beings, have a commonality, have an identity at the core, despite the religion that you profess, the community that you belong to, the nation that we are born into, or the country that we are born into. So when you perceive this, then that infuses a sense of nearness, kinship with the so-called other. And the so-called other remains as a misnomer. There is no other. Everyone is my kin, and the whole universe is my family. And this is a family consisting of not only human beings, because that gives them the pride or the arrogance or the vanity that everything is for. No, we coexist. We have to coexist. Human beings have to coexist with their phenomenon and also with flora and fauna and the rest of the creation. When you have this perception, then it is said that your intellect has transformed into an intuition. So when you are intuitively developed, we have the vision of unity. And we have a vision of cosmic family. We have the vision of feeling of, not only vision of unity, but that vision of unity gives a feeling of kinship. The vision of unity gives you a feeling of kinship. When I know that he is my brother, long forgotten brother, I embrace because he's my brother. He's a part and parcel of my family. Similarly, the concept of family has to be extended because we are all connected either proximately or remotely with one another. So living a life of coexistence is the celebration of the intuitive vision. Now, this comes only when intellect, you try to sublimate, you try to elevate, you sublimate your, refine your intellect to right thoughts, righteous company, and understanding the truth from the right perspective. Because as a couple of minutes I was trying to hint at, the same intellect which makes man nobler can also make deprave a man to the animal. That is why in Christianity is said, the same key which opens the gates of hell can also open the gates of heaven. Choice is yours. Whether you want to use your intellect by creating a deadly virus and kill the rest of the humanity, and in the process you also get yourself killed, or you use the intellect to help each other, to make the world a better place to live in. Choice is yours. And the choice is going to be momentous because humanity is left with two exclusive alternatives or options. Either to live together or to die together, because the science and technology has so very, has empowered man so enormously that if I kill man, my neighbor, I also get effaced in the process. The choice is very clear cut, very exclusive. Either you evolved a social order, a religious system, a political engineering, on account of which you live together with the ethics of share and care, or you kill each other, get yourself killed, and the earth moves on this on this orbit with animals and plants, but human beings are no more. Let us not do anything which will augur in or which will pave the way for mass annihilation, because man is completely so very enormously empowered that he can destroy the earth 12 times with the explosion neutron bombs. And for 2000 years, there will not be a blade of grass. So man has the capacity of treading the path of nobility or the path of devil by misusing the intellect. Here comes the role of intuition. Intuition is nothing but the ability which can regulate intellect to go in the right way. How does it? Because what is the right way? The way to the right goal. So it is the intuitive awareness. It is the intuitive wisdom which not only gives us the sense of goal, but also a sense of direction. So that is why that same also happens in case of instinct and intellect. Suppose I have a hunger, instinct of hunger. stems from the body. My intellect wants to know. Today I will not take food. I'm hungry, but today is a day of fasting. I am a vegetarian. I should not take non-vegetarian food. Even if I'm hungry, I put up with hunger, but I don't take vegetarian food. But the instinct says I'm hungry. I won't take anything that comes on the way. I don't take because of my reason, rationality. No, this is not the right food for me. If another person is hungry, I may forego my piece of bread in favor of him. So sacrifice is a human possibility, because it's said, that famous poem, thy necessity is greater than mine. Your necessity is greater than mine. What does a mother do? A hungry mother who is hungry, may prefer to share the food with the children. Let my children live. Let me suffer the pangs of hunger. So this is where the intellect controls the instinct. I've seen many of my students remaining spinster because they're younger. If she gets married, then the younger children cannot be nurtured properly because father is handicapped or otherwise, non-earning, is not an earning member of the family. So it is human beings who, by the rationality, can control and regulate the instinct. Similarly, as the instincts gets regulated by intellect, the intellect also stands in the regulation of a higher faculty, which is called intuition or a bodhi. So buddhi needs to be guided by bodhi so that it has a sense of goal and a sense of direction. So human beings walk on the righteous path to the cherished goal. That is how the intuition has to be in command, so that intellect, there is no room for misuse or abuse of intellect. So there has to be yoga practice or sadhana or spiritual practice, nothing but refining, ennobling, intellect and arousing the intuition. That is also embedded in man, because man is potentially holy and divine. In other words, the divinity has to be aroused so that the human intelligence gets attuned to cosmic intelligence. When human intelligence is attuned to cosmic intelligence, then we come to possess intuition, as this intuition which remains in command to control the intellect, in turn the instinct, so that human beings can move faster or more expeditiously to the cherished goal. Thank you. Namaskar. I'm done. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Mohanty, for giving an excellent coverage to the topic instinct, intellect, and intuition. We are really inspired by your great words of wisdom. Now there are a few questions. I think you will answer to those questions that is in the chat box. I will read out one by one.
Yes, I'll try.
Just 1 minute. Sir. One question is, Harshavardhan said, he has asked, most of the time we have found that the group of people behave like the furious animals. It seems there is no intuitional force of karuna or mercy. Mob loses the mind. Why so?
Friends, as for some people, kindness is natural. For some others, cruelty is natural. For some people, generosity is native. They have a natural tendency, spontaneity to help others, to live for others. Similarly, there are others who have that spontaneity, live for themselves. When they live for themselves, live at the cost of others, cruelty, vengeance, retaliation, this becomes their way of life. It is simple, because we stand in the different rungs, in the rungs of the evolution. Those who are ahead of us, evolution in the evolutionary scale, for them, kindness become a natural propensity. Bruti. No, there are prabhuti is an instinct and bruti is psychic propensities or proclivities. Now, so that can be, why this difference in the state of nature? Because he's not evolved enough to get himself awakened as to what he does and what are the consequences. The sense of cruelty becomes its natural expression. But you should remember that even if those who are cruel, why they are cruel? Because of the wrong, could be due to wrong upbringing. Because man learns from two sources. One is nature and nature. By nature, they are cruel. If a proper schooling or proper nurture is given, then probably that and those probably nurture is given, probably a cruel man can also be a kind man. So it becomes the responsibility of all the righteous people who are intuition developed to educate, to counsel, to advise, to try to help them. If not anything, let us pray for them. So, because why? Because even a cruel man has also kind interior within, because everyone is divine. Even a cruel man, when he comes back, he becomes kind to the mother, becomes loving towards the children. So no one is wholly bad, because we are all expression of the divinity. So divinity lies buried within. Maybe superficially, because of wrong exposure, wrong education, wrong upbringing, one is cruel. But if you try to arouse that goodness in the cruel people, maybe the dormant divinity gets aroused. So no one is condemned for all, because it is said, Ratnakar also become Valmiki. Even the degenerate people also become noble. They need right ambience. Who will provide the right ambience? We should become a part of their ambience or situations, so that we have a duty for them. So if you find wrong people, we should feel more responsible, because we have greater obligation or duty to bring them, nurture them, foster them, give them a proper exposure, so that the divinity in them gets aroused. Next question.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Next question is from Kasinath, brother Kasinath. Do you subscribe to the hypothesis that instinct in times also develop as unplanned and uncalculated intellect? Do you agree that the instinct is also pregnant with intellect, or carries embryonic intellect that begs for skilled midwifery for a constructive delivery?
Yeah. So actually, as long as we are on the instinctive propulsions, intellect is conspicuous in its absence. The instinct is something which propels us, which has its origin in human physicality. And so no, it doesn't have a direction. It has a singular direction. Suppose I'm hungry, for example, an animal, it is hungry. Whatever comes on the way, it will take. If you give poison, it takes and dies. But how do the rats die? How do the birds get caught in the net? Because they cannot distinguish. Maybe it is a ploy by intelligent human beings to capture us by throwing these grains, so that when we try to take grains, we get cut. So instinct doesn't lacks or is devoid of intellectuality. The more and more the intellectual upsurge is there, the more and more the instinct has sense of right and wrong. When there is a sense of right and wrong, then we become ratioinating, we become hesitating. So it is not that I'm hungry. Yes, I feel the hunger, but I again think, is it the right food for me to take? I'm a diabetic. The rasgulla, should I take? No, I should control. It is better to be hungry than to fall sick. So instinct is really bereft of the discriminating ability. In that sense, instinct and intellect in two categories. Next question.
Okay, sir. The next question is, if self-defense something that should not be practiced, does the speaker agree that the country should not develop any defense capability to protect the citizens of India against forces that may make India once again?
Yes, I understand the question.
Country?
Yeah.
That is,
yes, of course, if a snake enters into your house, you have a right to kill. But you should not enter into the pits to bring snakes and kill them. If a tiger enters or encroaches on the human habitat, you have by self-defense, you have a right to kill the tiger. But you should not go on hunting and killing tigers, because forest is natural habitat. If for some reason it strays away from the habitat, causing harm to human beings, you have a right to kill a tiger in self-defense. If you put it against this canvas, we have right to self-defense. If there is an unjust force, alien force attacks the country for the benefit and well-being of the people of the country. But on no circumstances, however powerful you may be, you should not try to encroach on the autonomy, the freedom, and be instrumental in breaching the peace of the other country. So that way, self-defense can be used, as even though it involves violence, but even also when in our day-to-day life, we also kill, microbes to survive. So that doesn't amount to violence. But when you enter into a forest for hunting and kill them, this is, of course, violation of non-violence, amounts to violence. Similarly, as a matter of defense, you can defend the country by using whatever weapons at your disposal to ward off the unjust forces, immoral forces. But under no circumstances, however powerful it may be, you should not venture to encroach on the autonomy of others. Next question.
This is from Pranav Kumar Pasad. Intuitive knowledge is relative or absolute one? It comes from sadhana or without sadhana?
It comes in two ways. It comes in two ways. Either you grow in a natural way in evolution, by nature you become intuitively developed, intuitively sensitive, or you cultivate it. There are two types of food: the raw mango and the mango or the rice which is cooked, because it can, and the cooked food. There are some people who are born born elevated, the great masters. They don't become great because of education. They are evolved souls, ripe souls. Another is you can cultivate it because everyone is potentially a master. Everyone is a potential divine. The Godhood remains in us. So you can do it through cultivation. Intuition is not relative. Intuition, if intuitive knowledge is a shared knowledge, that is why great mystics, they agree. Next question. There is a consensus among the great mystics. So intuitionists.
So
Yes.
another question is from Dr. Prashant Kumar Panigrahi. Role of reason in intuition and the relation between intuition and wisdom. This is the last question.
Actually, intuitively developed man is a wise man. When intellect, the information given by an intellect which is assimilated, and when it becomes livable, one becomes wise. So a wise man is not necessarily an ignorant man, but a man can grow wise without so-called intellect. Example is Ramakrishna Paramahansa. He didn't have a formal schooling, but grow is a wise man. Wisdom, he was not talking like a wise man. He was wisdom. His life is a testimony of wisdom. And intellect does not intuition does not negate intellect. Rather, intellect gets fulfilled in wisdom, in intuition. So intuition is not different from intellect. When intellect is sublimated, ennobled, exalted, elevated, it takes the form of intuition. The instinct takes the form of intellect. There is no gap, there is no discontinuity. So when intellect, expands its grasp, understands the truth in its native nature, it takes the form of intuitive knowledge, which is nothing other than wisdom. Next.
No, sir, it's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sorry for joining late, but you friends, brothers and sisters, you have stayed with me. I'm grateful. And, gratitude cannot be expressed words. It can only be felt and communicated in silence. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Sister, kindly close.
Okay. Okay, thank you, brother. Now we'll close the program with a hearty vote of thanks to you all, with our speaker. A special thanks to our speaker and for his enlightened speech and for all of your patient hearing. Now I conclude with the closing prayer. Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrutyorma Mrutangamaya Sarve Vai Sukhino Santo Sarve Santo Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pasyanto Nakaschit Dukhabhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, brother.
you, sir.
Over to brother Pradeep Mahapatra.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone, for participating in this program. Particularly, I am thankful to Dr. ADITYA Mohanty. In spite of his technical problem, I have to intimate Brother Shekhar. He then explained everything to him. Then he managed to join. So with these words, I am thankful Professor C.A. Sindhe and Brother Harihar Raghavan before he joined, sharing their thoughts on instinct, intellect, and intuition. And a nice question, nice discussion by Professor C.A. Sindhe and also our speaker, Dr. ADITYA Mohanty. With these words, I am now going to close this session and section.
Pradeep.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Purnamashi. Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Pradeep. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It was nice. It was nice. Okay.
Thank you, Pradeep Mahapatra ji.
Thank you, Harshavardhan ji. Thank you.
So happy.